Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Rick Lynch.
I always find those introductions to be awkward. Candidly, the real deal is 1972, when I was a junior in high school. I went to see my guidance counselor in Hamilton, Ohio, Hamilton Taft. I said, "Man, my parents can't afford to send me to school anywhere. Is there any options?" She said, "Well, there's these things called military academies." I said, "Well, how much they cost?" She says, "Nothing. They pay you to go." Sounded like a good deal to me. So I applied to West Point in Annapolis. I got my acceptance to West Point on a Monday, my acceptance to Annapolis the next day, Tuesday. The only reason I went to West Point is because I got the acceptance the day before. I tell people the postman truly determined my fate, and I went off to West Point. And I had convinced myself that going to West Point was going to be a 4-year event followed by a 5-year commitment, and then I was going to do something else. And those 5 years after graduation in 1977 transformed to 35 years in the Army, because it went from being a job to a profession to a passion. And that's what I hope for all of the 9 brand new second lieutenants today, that the same exact thing happens to you. And the quicker you make that transition from job to profession to passion, the more effective that you will be. It's always important at the beginning of these to acknowledge leaders. There's a lot of leaders in the room, and if I were to acknowledge them all, it would take a lot of time. So I'm just going to acknowledge 2 specific. The first is Dean Wright. I tell people all the time, the most important people in our society are our service members who protect our freedoms and our educators who guarantee our future. And without Dean Wright's personal love and support, this Maverick Battalion wouldn't be anywhere close as effective as this. I've seen Dean Wright in action now for 2 years, and there's no one in this campus who cares more about people. And man, you touch lives every day. God bless you. A round of applause, please, for Dean Wright. And then I got to tell you, 35 years in the Army, you're around a lot of people. You know, it's a 1,000,000-man Army. If you think about it, over the course of a 35-year career, you're going to meet a lot of people. But I met the most committed, the most professional, the most passionate commissioned officer after I retired and came here to UT Arlington when I met Lieutenant Colonel Laura Rimmer, the professor of military science here at the Maverick Battalion. And indeed, what she's doing every day is nothing short of amazing. And my wife Sarah and I are so proud of her and so happy to be part of what she's doing. And it's not just me. Universities across the nation, as we develop new lieutenants, all have what's called the Professor of Military Science, the PMS, the position that Laura holds. And just last night she was notified that she's been selected as the best professor of military science in the entire Army. With us, and we're blessed to have her with us for another year. And now allow me to focus my attention on these 9 brand new second lieutenants, because I want to emphasize the importance of the event that you just experienced, and I want to highlight to your family why this is so important. And my gift to you is a videotape of this ceremony. I remember on the 8th of June 1977 when I was commissioned, I would just want the event to finish so I could go do something else. And I wish that somebody had taken the time to capture the event so I could share it with my family and my friends who couldn't come, but candidly, more important, so you could pull it out and review it routinely to remind yourself what happened on this important day. And it's all about the commissioning oath that you took, so I'm going to walk you through that to make sure you realize what you just committed to do. First off, you swore. You swore. We, as members of the profession of arms, are a value-based organization, and the nation holds us in the highest regards because they know that their military is values-based. In the Army, we focus on loyalty and dignity and respect and selfless service and honor and integrity and personal courage. So you swore, you took an oath. That doesn't mean that's something you can just say, "Yeah, I was just kidding. I'll just walk away from it." You raised your hand and you swore that you would support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you would bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Now, the only way you can do that is if you know what the Constitution is. You have to be constitutional experts to be a commissioned officer of the United States Army because you swore to support and defend that Constitution. You got to know the 7 articles and the 27 amendments. You got to understand all the aspects of the Constitution because that's what you swore to uphold. Now, candidly, our magnificent enlisted force, when they take their oaths, they also swear to uphold the Constitution, but they swear to obey the orders of the President and the commissioned officers appointed over them. You didn't do that in your oath. You swore to support and defend our Constitution. You got to know what that is. You acknowledge that you took that oath of your own free will without purpose of evasion. You volunteered. You know, we haven't had a draft in the United States Army since 1973. Nobody came to you and said, you're now in the Army. You chose to do that of your own free will. When you look in the mirror every day, you got to remind yourself that you're doing this because you chose to do this. And you promised that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you're about to enter. And those duties are crystal clear. You're going to support and defend our Constitution. You're going to protect our freedoms and our way of life. And you promised to do the best you can every day. I tell people all the time, I'm humbled to be in your presence. As Colonel Rimmer identified, less than 1% of the American public have served our nation in uniform, but we all enjoy the freedoms provided by that select few. You chose to serve others in uniform, and you've committed to do your very best every day. And always remember that. You can't ever have a day where you say, well, I'm kind of tired, I'm not going to do anything today, or I'm just going to do it halfway today. The lives of the American public and the freedom of our society depend on you. And you say, well, I'm just a second lieutenant, how can that be? Well, we start as commissioned officers with second lieutenants. Regardless of what you might think, I didn't get commissioned as a lieutenant general. I started as a second lieutenant. By golly, you're the building blocks of our Army. You're down there where the rubber meets the road. You and your platoon are going to make a difference at the national level. And you're going to war. And I say that to you, and I say that to the family. There are a lot of people out there who hate our freedoms and our way of life. We as a nation were attacked on 9/11. Over 3,000 Americans were killed on our soil. And the only reason that hadn't happened since then is because we took the fight to them in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. 2.5 million Americans who volunteered to serve our nation in time of war guaranteed our freedoms. Now it's your turn. Now you have to continue. And you're going to take people into harm's way, the most difficult thing that you can do. Dwight Eisenhower said, I hate war. As only someone who experienced it can. I hate the brutality, the futility. I hate the stupidity, and I do as well. I hope we never have to go to war again, but we're going to. I don't have a crystal ball, but I know what's going on out there. I had the opportunity to serve on the battlefield from the time I was commissioned to the time I retired, and now it's your turn. You're going to leave America's sons and daughters, our most precious resource, in the harm's way. You got to do the best you can on every given day. And you all got to help. Remember, at the end of the oath of commission, the youngsters say, so help me God, as part of the oath process. I say it a little different. I say, so help me God. I get my strength and courage from my relationship with God and from my family. Where you search for your source of courage, you got to find it. But what you're fixing to do is the hardest thing known to man. And you got to get the help from your family. I mean, I tear up every time I see these pinning on ceremonies and seeing the families come up here with such pride and such dedication to their family member who's now a second lieutenant. But folks, you got work to do. They need your help. Every day they're going to need your love and your support. Candidly, I wouldn't be where I am today without the love and support from my family. My wife is always with me, and she sends her regrets today. She's not here only because she's been very, very sick over the last couple of days. and I pray to God for her health and her well-being. But she has supported me all along. My parents supported me all along. When I ran into a difficult time, and I asked for support, I prayed for support, and I asked my parents for support. So for all of you, just know, your son or your daughter who is now a second lieutenant, they're going to need your help from now and to the time they take off the uniform. And for everybody in this room who has served, if you're currently serving our nation in uniform or have served our nation in uniform, I ask you to please stand up. Please stand up. You stay standing. I didn't ask you to stand as a recognition, but that is well deserved. We're free as a nation today because of what you did during your committed service. But you second lieutenants, you stand up. And you turn around. You turn around. And you look at that. We are now your extended family. You know, and guys like me and gentlemen and ladies in the room that have served and have retired, we're okay. Because we know we've passed the baton to you. You just got to know that everybody standing now, and myself included, we're dedicated to help you wherever we can, because what you're doing is of utmost importance. You're protecting our freedoms to our way of life. You're guaranteeing that our children, their children, and our children's children enjoy the same freedoms that we enjoy today. Please sit down, and lieutenants, you're going to have to turn around before you can sit down. You always got to work on the second lieutenant. All right, so you just didn't take a casual oath there. It wasn't just something you had to do because Colonel Rember said that you had to do it before you can get commissioned. It's something that our nation ensures that you do. Now the ball is in your court. You got to remember that all the time. From the day I was commissioned until this very day, I recited that oath of commission on a daily basis and remind myself what I committed to. And as I look back, I can take pride in my service. As I look forward, I can rest assured because great men and women like you, great Americans, are standing up to the plate and saying, put me in, coach. I got this one. So just know, I love each and every one of you. Just know that when I go to bed tonight, I'm going to say a prayer for you. And just know that I rest easy because you're going to make sure our nation remains free. God bless you all.